Today, we're going to briefly talk about Stoicism. You might have or may not have heard of this. It's going around the internet as kind of the new way to kind of live your life, as kind of the hot philosophy of the day, at least in the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years I've seen. Um, Stoicism, the idea or the name comes from the Greek word for porch sitters. They would sit on the porch of a government building, kind of loafing around downtown, and they would try to talk about life. Um, what they understood is that only your emotions are under your control. We try to control everything, but we can't. We can't control any external outside forces. We try to control nature. We try to control our life circumstances. We try to control other people. But none of that is inside of our control. We can only control our attitude. So one of the founders that's credited with Stoicism was a slave, and he had this vision and or view of life that his condition wasn't under his control. And so one day he got caught doing something, or his owner was mad at him, and his owner punished him. And as he was getting beaten, he just kind of was just taking it. So the owner got mad and broke his leg and asked the slave, "What do you have to say about that?" And the slave replied, "You broke my leg." So his other leg got broken and got asked, "What do you have to say about that?" And he said, "You broke my other leg," just matter of factly, right? Like, I can't control what you're going to do. I can only control how I react to it. And with Stoicism, it makes zero sense to get crazy about anything. We'll talk about that more in a second. The reason why we can't control anything is because actions are are controlled by the logos, which is the word. Um, it's not quite the same, but it's close enough, kissing cousins or whatever, to what we kind of understand as fate. Everything works through causality, through the chain of cause and effect. So because we talked about this last time, right? Because the beginning of the cosmos happened, everything has happened. So we just need to kind of go with it. We cannot fight against our fate. They would describe life like a theater play. You just show up, you're given the script, you're given direction, and you have to act it out. But you can't choose anything. You can't improvise. You can't change lines up. You don't know what play it is. You can't ask for a different play. You can't ask for a different role. You can't ask for better lines, funnier lines, more dramatic lines, whatever. Less lines, more lines. You just choose if you like the play or not. And I think a lot of us can understand that this is how kind of life feels. I didn't choose to be who I am or kind of where I am. I didn't choose my family. I didn't choose kind of my socioeconomic class, um, especially as a kid, right? I didn't choose the house we lived in. I didn't choose the fact that I had to go to school, or what school that I went to. And then I started to understand that, like, because I went to this school, I got to know these people. Because I got to know these people, right, they became my friends. And because they became my friends, now I'm married to one of their friends, all because I happen to live in my family happened to live in this neighborhood that I was born into and raised in. Everything kind of tracks up. I didn't choose any of that. I'm not mad about it, but it's understandable for some people that like that's not the life that they would have chosen, and they feel like, I wish I would have or been able to choose something else, but you can't according to Stoicism. So you have to develop a rational disinterested will. So you need to recognize that life is fated and understand the causality behind everything through reason. The point of life is to accept fate. Fate will provide everything that you need to live an excellent life or to be happy. And happiness is more or better understood as contentment in Stoicism. Another way to kind of understand this idea of kind of the fatedness of life is the famous Stoic saying that nothing happens by accident. Everything happens by appointment. So we can kind of imagine having a giant appointment book where all of our life is written down in the past, but also in the future before it's happened. And that we're just sticking to it. We cannot change anything there. Time moves, fate moves, the logos moves without us. So you need to have a little bit of a disinterested view on life because nothing happens to you. Thinking about you as a self, thinking about you as things happening to you is the problem. Thinking about how things affect you is the problem. You need to develop this attitude of disattachment so that life doesn't feel like it's always crushing, always landing upon you, right? I'm sure some of you feel like COVID just hasn't happened to the world, but it's happened to you. Like that it was almost directed right at you. Or, I don't know, Tampa Bay Buccaneers looking like they're going to have another good season. Like, that's a dart, a barb right at you, a burden you have to bear. And Stoicism would say, no, everything just happens. So the famous Roman emperor who was a Stoic, Marcus Aurelius, had a wife who was having an affair with all of his generals. And when he found out, he let it be. He had the power to kill his wife, kill all the generals, everything. But he went, this is going to happen. This was going to happen. This has happened. What can I do about it? Well, I could choose to be angry and ruin myself and brood over it. Or I can just accept that everything has that price. Everything happens. And it happens in Stoicism for a reason. And I just have to accept that. If you want to learn more about Stoicism, you can go out on the web. There are a multitude of videos on YouTube. There are a multitude of posts on forums about Stoicism that try to get to the heart of it. But really, with Stoicism, you have to recognize that everything happens for a reason. You can't control that reason that things happen. So you need to kind of give up your control.